Hello there, welcome to Encore on France 24. Today it's our weekly music show. So coming up for you today, the Beatles are back, sort of. We'll be telling you about a bumper new addition to any mega fan's record collection. And we were asking if Paul and Ringo will really appear on stage together at next week's Grammys in the United States. We'll also be talking androgynous pop with Clémence Gabriel, one-third of the French indie girl group THEODORE, Paul and Gabriel. And the man they call the soul troubadour, Cody Chestnut, is getting ready to play Paris. Welcome to the show. We're joined, as always, by our music critic, Mark Thompson. Hi there, Mark.
Hi, Catherine.
And we are also very pleased to welcome to the studio this week, Clémence Gabriel. Hello there.
Hello.
Very nice to have you with us. Now, just for our viewers, Clémence is singer and guitarist with the slightly confusingly named all-girl group THEODORE, Paul and Gabriel. So Clémence, just to clear things up at the start, there are no boys in this band. You are all girls.
We are three girls, absolutely.
Okay, and you've taken the names THEODORE, Paul and Gabriel from other parts of your names.
Absolutely. This is the masculine version of our names.
Okay, so just to make that clear for everyone, let's hear some of your music then. This is Slow Sunday from the debut album.
It is a slow Sunday. I don't want to play. I should go away. It is a slow Sunday. Through my dusty windows I see the neighbors gossiping.
There we go, that's Slow Sunday by THEODORE, Paul and Gabriel. I'm very pleased to see a red-headed girl starring in your video, I have
Of course,
to say.
we love red-headed girls.
Thanks for that. Talking about the music, you're described as a sort of a mixture of 60s and 70s inspired pop rock, folk,
Yes.
sort of kind of melange. Was this inspiration from, a childhood listening to your mum and dad's record collection?
Actually, my mom and dad were listening to a lot of French music, mainly.
Uh-huh.
And I was lucky to discover blues when I was 40. And it was finally I found my music. And then from blues I went to pop and rock, and then I met Paul, who was at the same place, musically, And we were starting to play songs from the Beatles and the Stones and Bob Dylan and other great artists. And then one day we were writing our first song and couldn't be able to stop from that moment.
And the rest is history, as they say.
You've been playing together since about 2009, but it took you about 3 years to get your first record out. Was it a real relief to see it be so warmly received?
We were really proud, but we were a bit scared as well, because it feels like something doesn't belong to you anymore. And
In what way, you mean? When you put it out there and you get all these opinions, you mean?
Yeah, you get all these opinions, and the song was yours, and you have to make changes for it to talk to people, to touch people, and you know that you have to start all again, because you have to continue making music and making other records, and it feels like something a bit of vertigo.
Because once you start, it's like you're jumping onto a moving train. That's it. You've done your first album, you have to tour it.
Yeah, you
next
have to tour it, and then another one, and then you go like this, and you have to make sure that you're always sincere and you don't just do records to do records.
Yeah, that must be difficult. If we talk about your image a little bit, we've talked about the names, and you have a fairly androgynous look. You all tend to wear suits on stage. We've seen a lot of guys pull that off very successfully, like David Bowie or Lou Reed. Female singers a bit less so, maybe Anna Calvi or PJ Harvey.
Yeah.
Did you take your inspiration from them?
Actually, we were taking our inspiration from boys rock bands, because this is the way we try to appeal to people. But we adore Anna Calvi and PJ Harvey and Patti Smith, for that matter. But I think I'm trying more to look like John Lennon than to look like Patti Smith.
He is an icon, of course. Just talking about the future, the United States is a market I know you're wanting to crack in the near future. It's kind of difficult though, especially for a French band, right?
I think so. If I had a strategy, I would go there, but I don't. I mean, we want to play everywhere, including the United States, of course, but we want to be ready to go there because I don't think you have many chances to make it in America. So I want to be sure that we are the best that we can be before going there and trying to, I don't know.
Well, it's a big country and it's a lot of touring for sure. We'll move on to our next item. This is something that might interest you, being a fan of 1960s sort of sounds. 13 Beatles albums are all being reissued this week. Take a listen.
Well, shake it up, baby, now. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Turn Bobby love. Everybody tells me so. Just to dance with you is everything I need. Help, I need somebody.
So many classics in there, aren't there, Marco Clemens?
Incredible collection.
It is,
When you
absolutely.
look back at it, it's amazing when you realise just how many classics they wrote
For
back
sure.
in the 60s.
And that's just 13 albums.
Of
They wrote
course.
a lot more than
Yeah.
that. Would you be interested in getting your hands on that collection, Clemens?
I think I'll go buy it the minute I'm leaving the studio.
Excellent. There's one purchaser already. Now, Mark, tell us more about these. These are all albums that were only issued in the United States, first off.
Yes, okay, so Capitol Record are releasing 13 records released between 1964 to 1970. But these are not the exact same records that we know and love in Europe. They were remarketed, rebranded, and even remixed for the American audience. But in terms of songs, this takes us from I Want to Hold Your Hand right the way through to Help. And it's because we're marking 50 years of the Beatles in America, and the amazing Ed Sullivan Show, which really broke them and started the whole Beatles mania.
Yeah, it was
phenomenon
unstoppable
in
after
the
that,
US.
wasn't it?
It really was, and these records are really going to be collector's items, and it's really interesting because fans of the Beatles in both Europe and the UK have always fought over whether the Europe editions or the US editions were actually the better releases. So I think the debate will come up again this time around.
Absolutely, we'll all be listening. I didn't actually realise that they remixed them in that way at all. I'll be really interested to see how they sound.
Well, it's everything from adding a tambourine or taking away a tambourine to the same with the vocals. It really just depends on what the American audience was listening to at the time and what they would
in terms
expect.
of marketing, in
Of
a way,
course,
I
yeah.
suppose. Well, other news for you. The two remaining members of the Beatles, Paul and Ringo, are going to be performing at the Grammy Awards next week. Mark, that's really an incredible coup for the Grammys, isn't it?
It's a massive coup. It's a massive coup. But we're not sure whether they will be performing together yet. They have performed together before, about 4 years ago, for Ringo Starr's 70th birthday. I mean, that's incredible in itself to think that Ringo Starr is 70 years old. But they're currently listed as individual performers, but fans will obviously be hoping for a bit of a reuniting.
They won't be able to resist, I think,
You'd
surely.
hope so, but the other alternative is obviously that John Lennon's sons, Julian and Sean, could also join, as well as George Harrison's son, Danny. We can cross our fingers, but
There we go.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll
it's a
all
long
be
shot.
watching pretty closely, won't we? I'm sure as well, Clemens. We'll move on now from the Beatles to Beats, so to speak. The hip-hop producer Dr. Dre is branching out into the music streaming business this week. He's calling it Beats Music. He thinks it could revolutionise the music industry. Now, Mark, this is the man who convinced us all to spend a couple of €100 on some headphones.
Yeah.
What's his plan of action for this area?
Okay, so Beats Music is a collaboration between Dr. Dre, Nine Inch Nails frontman Trent Reznor, and the head of Interscope Records. And Beats Music, it aims to be what they say a smarter Spotify. And it's for $10 a month, it will work out your music DNA.
Oh,
And
how do they do that?
Well, the way it does that is by listening to not only what you're listening to, but also when you listen to it and how loud you listen to it.
Okay.
That's as well as your age, your gender, and where you are living in the world. So it's really an intuitive service rather
They hope.
compared to Spotify.
Sounds
Well,
a tiny bit stalkerish to me. I'm not quite
well,
sure.
It will be interesting to see if there's a backlash like there was with Facebook and targeted adverts. If people know too much about you, people start to get a little bit wary of that, especially advertisers.
And Clemens, as a musician, do you think streaming services like this could sort of save the music industry?
I think it's better than illegal downloading. But I don't think that artists manage to find a way to, make money with streaming.
So maybe this is an interim step to something.
I hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so. And I also hope that the sound will get better than.
Yes, because the sound
course.
quality is very different, especially if you compare to vinyl. And what was it Tom
Yeah,
York from
Tom York
Radiohead
called
said?
it the last desperate fart of a dying industry.
So there we go.
Obviously he's not a fan.
That's what some musicians think about music streaming. Well, we have had the past and the future of music. Let's end the show with a return to the present. The Sons d'Hiver Festival is breaking up the monotony of January in and around Paris this week. Mark, in terms of genre, there's a bit of everything, it would
Yeah,
seem.
there's definitely something for everyone. The festival runs until February 16th, and we've got everything from soul to classical to rock, pop, hip-hop, electro. There's a bit of everything. And this isn't like your usual festival. It's taking place on in theatres and clubs as well as on boats. So it's not what people think of like Glastonbury. It's not that kind of festival.
People aren't going to be in a cold field in Paris in
No, it's not
January.
quite the
And
same.
your pick of the bunch is Cody Chestnut. Tell us why.
I have to say I really adore Cody Chestnut. He's one of the coolest guys in music. He's up there with, for me, Outkast, Prince, even Lenny Kravitz. He's just super cool.
Excellent. Well, there we go. A bit of a recommendation, something for everyone, like we said. We are going to leave you with a bit of Cody Chestnut singing Till I Met Thee. Thanks once again to Mark for being with us, and a very warm thank you to Clémence from Theodore,
Thank you
Paul
very
and
much.
Gabrielle. It's been really interesting to meet you. Remember, you can keep in touch with us on our social networks and with me on Twitter at A Cat in Paris. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you again soon.
I was a dead man. I was asleep. Lord knows I was a stranger in a foreign land. Oh, till I met thee. Second verse.